billions of dollars, $22 billion in 2014. Mark Zuckerberg promised that it was going to stay that way, that it was going to stay pure and there are no ads on it. Well, in fact, Facebook is going to start having ads in your WhatsApp, and importantly, targeted ads, meaning that they'll keep on saying it's end-to-end encryption, but somehow there's somebody in there, an algorithm looking at what you're talking about, because they know where you are, they know what your likes are, they know what you're talking about in order to target the ads to you. So here is from Felix Salmon and Slate.com. There's no justification for what Mark Zuckerberg did to WhatsApp. The Wall Street Journal published a bombshell story last week about what reporters Kirsten Grind and Deepa Setharman call the messy, expensive split between Facebook and WhatsApp's founders. By the time you finish the Wall Street Journal piece, only two options seem possible. Either Zuckerberg is a liar, or he's a liar with absolutely no concept of the sunk cost fallacy. When Facebook bought WhatsApp for $22 billion in 2014, the companies rolled out a very clear messaging campaign based around WhatsApp motto of no ads, no games, no gimmicks. The messaging service would be owned by Facebook, and Facebook could continue to make as much money as it wanted from ads on its own platform, Facebook, but WhatsApp would retain its purity of product and even roll out end-to-end encryption. So we're going to talk about how the founders of WhatsApp were supposed to stay on, how they stayed on just through the rest of this year instead of quitting as they have done. I mean, one left $900 million on the table, the other left $400 million by leaving early because of what Zuckerberg is doing.
It's a matter of character. I mean, look, Mark Zuckerberg, he started Facebook by stealing information from Harvard. You know, they had their yearbook information that he stole. He's a thief. And then he copied a site called Rate My Face, I believe it was called at the time, to create a site called My Facebook, or no, The Facebook. And then it became popular on campus. And then he went right to Sand Hill Roll in San Francisco and raised a bunch of venture money and sold out to Goldman Sachs. The genesis of it all, though, was that he had been stiffed by some chick on the Harvard campus. He couldn't get a date. So he expressed his anger by breaking into the database and stealing information and then creating this gigantic, enormous behemoth of a violation, upsetting surveillance state, gargantuous software.
Well,
and then it's all because of his character. He has very low character. He has no moral character.
Well,
that's the problem.
But Felix Salmon says he doesn't know if it's him or Sheryl Sandberg. Somebody's advising them to basically betray their agreement with the two founders. Now, the two founders of WhatsApp, in their agreement with Zuckerberg, with Facebook, did install basically a clause saying that if you start to use ads, we can basically sue you and like we could leave without penalty. But it turns out that there was actually another clause hidden in there that they didn't quite see.
He stole the whole idea from the Winklevoss twins, didn't he?
Yes.
He has no moral character, and now he's destroying this entire industry.
Okay, so WhatsApp wasn't an easy acquisition for Zuckerberg because the two apps have very different founding principles. Jan Koum, one of the co-founders who grew up in Ukraine, believes deeply in privacy. Zuckerberg thinks that the more open and connected we are, the happier we will become. And so in order to acquire WhatsApp, Zuckerberg not only had to pay a lot of money and give up a board seat to Koum, he also had to make a lot of promises. Some of those promises were even enshrined in the acquisition agreement. If Facebook imposed, quote, monetization initiatives like advertising onto WhatsApp, its founders' shares would vest immediately and they could leave without suffering any kind of financial penalty. Now, Zuckerberg may be an immoral, corrupt, but these two founders left without collecting money because there was another clause in there which said they had to sue to get that money. So they've just left over $1 billion on the table because they disagree.
Well, it's a calculation that was made at the time of the signing because they were able to still take home $21 billion apiece. So to leave a 900,000 million or whatever on the table is a chump change. It's meaningless. They knew that they were getting in bed with the flea-ridden pig, and then they knew that this day was going to happen. They knew that from the day one that this day was going to happen.
They left. They had to leave because they found out that Facebook was what Facebook is, and everybody said this would happen. Google, of course, also removed from their own charter that don't be evil. So now they've admitted basically that they can't abide by their own basically principles that they said they were operating by. So he's saying that it's a sunk cost fallacy that that Zuckerberg is thinking he needs to put ads onto WhatsApp. Given how much Facebook paid for WhatsApp, doesn't it have a right to get a return on its investment? The answer to that question is simple. No, it doesn't. This is where the sunk cost fallacy comes in. It doesn't matter anymore how much money Facebook paid for WhatsApp. All that is water under the bridge. If Zuckerberg wants to aggressively monetize WhatsApp, installing ads between every other text message, it is within his rights to do that regardless of how much the acquisition cost was. But the acquisition cost poses zero current burden on Facebook that requires the imposition of advertising.
Well, because Zuckerberg is paranoid. This is a correlation with wealth that happens in most people that become wealthy. They become increasingly more paranoid. And so Mark Zuckerberg, he's worth, $40, $50 billion. His paranoia is now at William Randolph Hearst-like levels of megalomaniacal psychosis. So I wouldn't expect him now to act out in some unbelievably
He has a right to be
way.
paranoid. Apparently you saw what he was doing in the bathroom across America.
Well, that's, everyone's got to start somewhere.
He was on a journey across America planting the seeds of his presidential campaign.
Planting the seeds of his presidential campaign is a good way to put it. That's a great way to end on Stacey Herbert's commenting on Mark Zuckerberg's seeds and various gas stations across America. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Keiser Report with me, Max Keiser, who's also on Minds.com, and Stacey Herbert. And if you want to catch us on Twitter, well, me, but not Stacey, because she quit Twitter. But the Keiser Report's on Twitter, and I suppose there'll be somebody tweeting on that. It'll probably be Stacey. Won't be me. I never follow Keiser Report on Twitter. I only follow...